Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
As schools reopen in New York, the vaccination rate for eligible students remains low in some areas. Tonight, Big Fox's Matt Kleindinst examines the numbers in the southern tier.
Good evening, Ann. The spread of COVID remains on the minds of many as students throughout the southern tier return to school this week, and the vaccination rates of eligible students lags behind other adults in the region. As schools get ready to open up, the vaccination rate among students remains well behind older adults throughout the state. In the southern tier, while adult vaccination rates hover between 54 and 79%, only 37% of all 12 to 15-year-olds have been fully vaccinated. Between Chemung, Schuyler, and Steuben counties, Chemung County leads the way with 32% of its 12 to 15-year-olds fully vaccinated. Much of the lag can be attributed to the emergency authorization being given to kids over the age of 12 back in May. And New York has used incentive programs in the past few months to try to encourage vaccinations. I reached out to local school districts about vaccination rates in the region, but have not heard back. The first day for most students in this region begins tomorrow. Matt Kleindinst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
With COVID-19 cases again increasing, funeral homes and morgues are taking extra steps to keep up and to keep people safe. Jayla Whitfield reports.
Hospitals brought in mobile morgues to help store bodies when the pandemic first hit.
It was just hit our community, like I always said, like a wildfire. I mean, it just went through our community.
And now they're bringing them back before they find themselves again unable to keep up.
We were stacking bodies. I put it that way. I hate to say it that way. I went on to say we stacked bodies, but we had nowhere to put them. We had to keep them in a cool place.
Over 600,000 Americans have died from the coronavirus, and the number of hospitalizations of COVID patients are rising again.
It's a very sad moment when someone passes from COVID.
Eddie Cobb owns Promised Land Funeral Home in southeast Georgia. He says he's seeing more people die of COVID.
Someone died basically from a handshake or entering a room where someone possibly have COVID. That's a very hard time.
To help keep up and avoid getting more people sick, Cobb says they have implemented a drive-through funeral option.
No one has to come inside the building. You can stay inside your vehicle and keep down the spread of COVID.
Morgues in Mobile, Alabama are filling up too. Funeral home director C.J. Small says their funerals have doubled.
It has been really draining, even with the employees, myself personally, I had several employees to quit.
Fowler says they thought they were in the clear, but things are getting worse.
And when the Delta virus came in, the thing started picking back up. So we said we're going to go ahead and plan before the storm get here.
Fowler says they have to be able to support COVID-related deaths and everything else in between, including homicides and drug-related deaths. So far, there are several states across the country that have mobile morgues on standby. In Marietta, Georgia, Jayla Whitfield, Fox News.
Yesterday, Governor Hochul enacted the HERO Act in an attempt to slow the spread of the Delta variant. The HERO Act requires New York employers to implement safety plans to help prevent workplace infections. Safety plans will vary by industry. However, they will address health screenings, masks, PPE, and disinfecting protocols. Governor Hochul says the law will ensure safe workplace environments.
This pandemic, particularly the Delta variant, is continuing to rage. It's creating unsafe conditions in some workplaces, and if we want to get people back to work and get our kids back in schools, we need to have standards that not just are on law but are actually enforced.
Employers who do not implement safety plans could be fined up to $50 per day. The Department of Labor has industry-specific safety templates on its website. New developments tonight surrounding the situation in Afghanistan. Earlier today, two top Biden cabinet officials delivered remarks in nearby Qatar describing the rescue efforts that took place over the last few weeks. The Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, says they are working to help Americans still stranded. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
Qatar went above and beyond, and your generosity helped to save thousands of lives. Even as Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Antony Blinken thank officials in Qatar for helping Americans and Afghan allies evacuate Afghanistan, they add they still need more help for roughly 100 Americans left behind.
We have case management teams assigned to them to make sure that those who want to leave can in fact do so.
Blinken denies reports that Taliban fighters have stopped Americans from leaving the country, saying he's unaware of a hostage type of situation at Mazar-e-Sharif airport. But the departures are conditional.
The Taliban has not denied exit to anyone holding a valid document, but they have said that those without valid documents at this point can't leave.
The visit comes after the U.S. says it helped 4 Americans get out of Afghanistan by land, but that's disputed. Some, like Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, are furious at the administration, accusing it of delay and inaction. While others say the State Department is trying to take credit for the rescue operation led by a private team of military veterans.
It's not surprising to me that the State Department higher-ups have come rushing in anytime they see a good news story and try to take credit for it.
Qatar, meanwhile, says it's working on making the airport in Kabul capable of receiving charter flights, but it adds an agreement needs to be made with the Taliban, which is still in negotiation. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
President Biden is in New York and New Jersey today, visiting areas impacted by the remnants of Hurricane Ida. People across the Northeast are continuing to clean up after the devastating storm. Alex Hogan has more.
President Biden travels to New York and New Jersey today to survey damage left behind by Ida. On Monday, the president approved disaster declarations for counties in both states, freeing up federal aid for recovery efforts. Local officials are hoping additional counties become eligible.
People in this county are hurting very, very bad. I just want to assure my residents and the business people that they're going to be eligible for this $8.
The storm devastated the region last week, killing dozens of people in 6 eastern states. Record-breaking rainfall overwhelmed houses, businesses, and public transportation, causing millions of dollars in damage. Ida also spun up tornadoes, including in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. People there are continuing cleanup efforts this week, with volunteers clearing debris and donating food and shelter to residents.
We had guys on chainsaws that cut up all this stuff, and we moved it from out there over to here. I've got guys down there cooking right now for the community as well.
Further south in Louisiana, communities are still recovering more than a week after Ida made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. Crews restored power to roughly 70% of the greater New Orleans area, but thousands of customers remain in the dark. Efforts to get the lights back on could last through the month. New York City officials will go door to door to make sure that residents get the federal aid that they need. In Manville, New Jersey, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
United States Attorney General Merrick Garland says he will do all he can to try and challenge Texas's controversial abortion law. Stephen Dial has more.
A week after the Texas heartbeat bill banning abortions at 6 weeks went into effect, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced his office is looking at ways to challenge it. Monday, in a statement, Garland said the Department of Justice will use the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances, or FACE Act, to protect providers. The act bans threats of force, physical obstruction, and intimidation for those trying to get health services. But Garland did not say how this law would be applied in Texas, only saying in a statement, quote, the department will provide support from federal law enforcement when an abortion clinic or reproductive health center is under attack. We have reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI field offices in Texas and across the country to discuss our enforcement authorities. Jonathan Sines is the president of Texas Values, a group that had been pushing for this anti-abortion law.
And the heartbeat is something that people can identify with. It is a universal indicator of life.
He told Fox 4 he doesn't see how the federal government is going to apply the FACE Act to the current law, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected around 6 weeks. The state doesn't enforce it. Instead, private citizens file lawsuits. Historically, the FACE Act has been used to prosecute activists who physically block entrances to clinics or using violence to keep someone from going inside a clinic.
The federal FACE Act is about issues related to women that are going to enter an abortion clinic. In the state of Texas, women can enter and continue to enter abortion clinics all they want. But once they get into that abortion clinic, state law controls, and that's the Texas heartbeat law. and it will continue to be infected.
Planned Parenthood also said it hopes the Biden administration can do more. In a statement Monday, it said, quote, "We welcome this announcement by the Department of Justice to help protect providers and healthcare centers in Texas. But we hope and expect that this administration also intends to use every other tool at its disposal to protect patients who have no access to abortion in Texas right now."
Still ahead tonight, another grim milestone in the war against COVID-19. More than 40 million cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began.
I believe strongly that ultimately we are going to see that as the proper regimen, 3 doses of an mRNA.
What you need to know about COVID-19 booster shots as we get closer to the day many Americans can start to receive them.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Your Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. We've enjoyed dry weather today. However, we're tracking another cold front that could bring some strong thunderstorms into the Twin Tiers by tomorrow. So you can see a hefty line of thunderstorms in Michigan right now out ahead of this cold front. This will continue to progress to the east, landing in our area by tomorrow. So there could be a few thunderstorms with some heavy rain on Wednesday. Behind that cold front, we are expecting drier and a little bit cooler air for the second half of the week. So we do have a marginal risk for severe weather, meaning that there could be 1 or 2 thunderstorms that could produce damaging wind gusts, and also we can't rule out tornadoes because there will be a few supercells along that line as well. So just be weather aware as we head into your Wednesday. So that marginal risk includes areas like Tioga County and also in Chemung County. So just keep that in mind. So here's a look at your planner tomorrow. We are expecting increasing clouds during the day and then a few thunderstorms, especially in the early afternoon. Temperature-wise, we'll stay in the low 70s, and it is going to be gusty as that line pushes in. Our future radar is showing that line to moving toward Ohio, as you can see right there, and then it will press to the east into the western edges of New York and Pennsylvania at around 7 o'clock in the morning, and then take a look. It moves into right over our viewing area at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There could be some heavy rain as denoted by the yellow and the orange in Hornell, also in Bath and Corning, and that will start to move into Elmira. Notice the red that's showing up. That will be those thunderstorms that will intensify in the latter part of the afternoon as this line encounters very humid air and very warm air. But by 7 o'clock in the evening, our models are indicating this line will be pushing out. There is more chances of rain for your Thursday in the afternoon, but I think it will be just mainly showers. Here's a look at your forecast for tonight. 63 degrees in Elmira, 65 in Corning, 63 in Perkinsville. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Increasing clouds during the day tomorrow. Scattered showers and thunderstorms in the late morning into the afternoon. Highs will be around 75 degrees in Elmira, 77 in Corning, and 75 degrees in Perkinsville. Watkins Glen around 76 degrees. Your 7-day forecast calls for temperatures that will be cooling down behind that cold front. A little bit more sunshine, increasing sunshine by the end of the week as well. It will be a beautiful day on Friday. Overnight lows will drop down to near the 50-degree mark by Saturday morning. And then we are expecting a return flow. Southerly winds will bring that warm air back and also a little bit of humidity by Sunday. Look for highs around 81 degrees, and then we drop back down into the 70s early next week.
COVID-19 cases continue to climb across the U.S., even moving significantly higher than they were right after Labor Day last year. The surge as many students are just returning to the classroom. Meanwhile, the FDA is set to meet in 10 days to discuss COVID-19 boosters. Mandy Gaither has all the latest in today's Health Minute.
In the war against COVID-19, it's another grim milestone. More than 40 million cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began. over 4 million of those in the last month.
We got here in part because we have the Delta variant.
COVID-19 cases are more than 300 times higher than Labor Day of last year, according to data from Johns Hopkins University, leading to overcrowded hospitals and a rise in infections in children, especially concerning as many students are returning to their classrooms.
We've got to get the school system masked, in addition to surrounding the children with vaccinated people.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says getting more shots in arms is key to slowing the spread of COVID-19, and booster shots for those who received either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines will offer further protection.
I believe strongly that ultimately we are going to see that as the proper regimen, 3 doses of an mRNA.
For those who got 2 doses of Pfizer, the target start date for boosters is September 20th, pending FDA and CDC recommendations. Fauci says Moderna boosters may be a little later. It's still unclear whether different types of vaccines can be mixed. Researchers are studying that now.
If you are a vaccinated person, you're generally healthy, then it's okay at this point to wait to see what the FDA and CDC are saying.
Top health experts agree the most important thing now, getting those who are unvaccinated to roll up their sleeves. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
History in Washington State. For the first time in Graham Fire and Rescue history, they have an all-female crew. Kaylee Greenberg has the story.
To be a firefighter in 2021.
It isn't all about being a big, strong man.
Georgia Daniels says it takes humor and compassion.
A lot of our jobs now are all EMS, so you need to have a personality to deal with the public.
She spent her career as a dedicated firefighter for Graham Fire and Rescue.
So I tested and I got hired, and that was 26 years ago. Initially, it was exhausting, frustrating.
She was the first in a field dominated by men.
I was the first woman, I was the first person from out of the area, first person with a college degree. So I had everything working against me.
Now she's seen as a pioneer as she joins another first for the Graham Department. Meet the women of Graham Fire and Rescue. For the first time in the department's 59-year history, they have an all-female crew.
It can be a challenge to really have women even be interested in the fire service. Not a lot of women think that it's a career that they can possibly pursue.
Jill DeLen is the first female lieutenant. She says the department is growing, and this crew wants to inspire women to become firefighters.
I think a lot of people don't quite look into it until they either see a female firefighter on the rig, and then they think, oh, like I could do that too.
What brought this team together goes back to Georgia.
The reason we planned this day was because our first female firefighter is actually retiring at the end of September.
But to see these young women come up and learn the job and be so excited about it, I really regret having to leave or making the decision to leave now.
She'll tell you their aches and pains, but no regrets about her career.
I wish I could start back over, and do it all over again.
A food delivery driver in California immediately pulled over and ran onto a busy street after spotting a toddler trying to cross the road. Nicole Comstock has the story.
When Gerson Tavares accepted one last request as a food delivery driver,
okay, I will.
He had no idea what he was really being called to do. That's a 2-year-old boy in a diaper running down a busy Burbank Boulevard in Van Nuys at night in front of his car. As soon as Gerson realized this, he parked it and bolted out the door to try to save the boy's life. The harrowing moments were caught on his dash camera.
I run more and more. I know if I got out the lane, the driver don't see the boy. The boy is a little.
Gerson waved his arms so that other drivers would see him if they couldn't see the little boy. He thinks he may have run into head-on traffic because he was completely distracted by a game tablet.
All the time, the little boy and the game tablet.
But Gerson was eventually able to stop traffic and get the boy out of the road, right in front of this church.
When the driving stopped, yeah, okay, I got the boy in my arms. Oh, thank you, God.
Feel like God helped you save him, right?
Yeah. I'm not a hero. God is a hero.
But Igor can't contain his pride for his lifelong protector.
Yeah, he's a father of 4.
He says his dad is definitely a hero for risking his own life to intervene.
You were the right guy at the right place, doing the right thing. And for me, what makes me more proud of him was like how quick he acted. It was like fast reaction, just the way I expect my dad to be, my hero. I love this guy.
For now, it's unclear how exactly the boy ended up in the road. The LAPD says they located the boy's guardians and returned him to his home, but that the Department of Children and Family Services will investigate to determine whether or not any further action needs to be taken.
Something bad could have happened. Thank God it didn't.
A Texas restaurant has found a solution for its labor shortage. The owner of Laduni in Dallas says he has a third of the staff that he did pre-pandemic, and while he's trying to hire some new people, no one seems to be interested in working. So he's turned to robots for help.
I had people who tell me, well, they're taking people's jobs. Guess what? No, they're not taking anybody's job because there's no one is showing up. What they are doing is helping the ones who are really working.
The restaurant has 3 robots that work as hosts and runners. They take guests to their tables, bring out orders, and even sing happy birthday. Experts say the labor shortage in service jobs is from low wages and the spreading Delta variant. City planning officials get creative and use a popular toy to break down a complicated issue. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Fun weekend, but it's back to the grind. Take a cue from this Illinois teacher whose morning ritual with her students shows a positive attitude and a little creativity can start your workday off on the right foot. Creativity was definitely in play for city officials in Northeast Texas who decided to hit the bricks, Lego bricks that is, to create a Lego version of Arlington to explain the city's annual budget proposal. With the help of a local Lego enthusiast, who also happens to be a city employee, officials constructed a 4-minute video breaking down the proposed $522 million fiscal plan for 2022. The aim was to explain a crucial yet complex topic for residents in an understandable and engaging way. And it seems to have worked. The video has gone viral, racking up hundreds of thousands of views and garnering praise from scores of Arlingtonians who seem to appreciate the use of building bricks as the building blocks of fiscal transparency. Speaking of getting creative, a business owner in Fort Myers, Florida, fed up with unfixed potholes on their street, decided to branch out.
They literally put a whole tree in the middle of the road.
Yep, they decided to plant a banana tree in the pothole, hoping to draw attention to it and spur action from local officials. The idea itself ain't exactly bananas, but officials say it's a private road, not managed by the county, meaning property owners will be stuck in the rut until they themselves pay to tackle the root of the problem. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Today is National Beer Lovers Day. The origin of brewing beer actually predates recorded history, but beer is a well-known part of American history. Virginia colonists brewed beer with barley, malt, and hops, and George Washington even recorded a recipe for brewing beer in his notes. Whether it's an IPA or a PBR, you can celebrate the day on social media with photos of your beer of choice with the hashtag National Beer Lovers Day. If you do celebrate, please do so responsibly. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.